Hi, I'm Andy Saunders and welcome to My Beautiful Mistakes. So we're in Oxford. So whereabouts in Oxford are we?
We're in East Oxford, which is sort of a bit more student territory.
Edgy?
Back in the day. This is probably a little bit more leafly. We've got Iffley Road here, where this is where we sort of, when I first left home, I moved up with my brother into a house here. But I suppose it's more student-y houses, Cowley Road, Iffley Road.
Right.
And a bit more bohemian.
Yeah. So why, you had this lovely bucolic house that we've been to with your parents and the loft, and why did you move out and come and live on your own?
Well, everyone's got to move out home, haven't you? Well, my brother lived in the top of this house here, Iffley Road.
Yeah.
And there were just like 3 or 4 bedsits. And I just used to go and visit him, and it was brilliant. We could go to the pub, and I was, 16 or 17, and then eventually I sort of shared a room with him for a little bit, and then our roadie, a guy called Ozzy, who became our sort of tech roadie, his room was at the front, and then we shared a room for about, I don't know, a year.
Party house?
Kind of party house, yeah. Well, actually, there's that estate agents at the front. That was a off license.
Okay, that helps.
So in the summer, I remember we used to go when we get sort of cashed our sort of dole check or whatever, go down and sit outside, and we used to get a table and chairs, and the guy used to let us put it out, and we could get a bottle of wine or some beers and have our own sort of little sort of drinks dinner party outside the offie, outside our house.
And whereabouts in the kind of the genesis of the bands that you were in? Where were you at when you were living there?
I think this was in between the Jennifers and Supergrass, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe at the end of the Jennifers, start of Supergrass. We formed Supergrass back in Wheatley a bit more, and there was this sort of row of cottages quite near Gaz's house, Gaz's parents' house, because he was quite young at the time still. And I moved into number 4 there. It was this row of really sort of semi-dilapidated cottages with no heating or anything, and Mick lived in number 1. And we rehearsed there quite a lot there, getting Supergrass together.
So where we're standing now, we're standing in somewhere called Fair Acres Road.
Yeah. Which
has some significance to Supergrass, right?
It does,
Tell us the story.
Well, so when we were here, I think Gaz had gone off with a friend of ours, Danny Campbell, I think, in his little Renault 5, banged up Renault 5. And they returned to here, late at night at sort of 10, half 10, maybe after going to see the Travellers to do a bit of business. And we were there, and I think they pulled up, and Danny's tail light was out on his Renault 5. So, and some police went past, asked them to get out, talked to them about what they'd been doing. They said his tail light's out, and then one of them said to Gaz, you don't have anything on you boys, do you? And I think Gaz he'd had a little tin with a little teeth of hash in or something, and then he just managed to get it into his trousers, but I think he was wearing boxer shorts, so they weren't snug. His testicles alone couldn't keep them snug enough. And while he was being asked if he had anything, it sort of fell out and tinged on the floor. And they sort of went, well, what's this?
Hello.
And he went, and yeah, and then because he was only 17, so they took him to the police station, and he was in a cell for a bit, and then they had to phone his mum because he was underage, get her out of bed, and she came down, and then we sort of wrote a song
and
about
that became Caught By The Fuzz.
Became Caught By The Fuzz, but about a year later, or maybe a year and a half later, I remember I was living at the cottages at this time, and I was walking around with an acoustic, and I'd had the chords, and it was just going, kept going, Caught By The Fuzz, and this. And then Darryl, who was our tour manager at the time, who was this quite hard guy, popped out of the shower with a towel around him and said, I was still on a buzz, like that. And I was like, yeah, that's it, that's good. And then sort of told this tale of the, had the start of the song, and then we all got together and finished it off.
So that came out on Backbeat Records, presumably a small independent Oxford label. Tell us a little bit about that label.
We run into this guy called Dave Norland, who was a really lovely guy, hard-working guy, who had some some spark and stuff and created Backbeat, where I think we put out Caught By The Fuzz and Man-Sized Rooster maybe was on the other side.
That would have been it, yeah.
And he just sort of, it was a little white label with the Backbeat stamp on it, and he did quite a lot of local bands and just had some links to a pressing company and a vinyl presser, and just did it really cheap. It was amazing in those days. You could just get things done quite quickly, and so.
And it became a really important record, didn't it, because of the John Peel connection?
Yeah, he I think I can remember listening to the Festive 50. So he used to do a annual Festive 50, and I thought, someone told me we were going to be on it, which was really amazing because we hadn't really had a proper release, but he'd picked up this Backbeat single and really liked it, and he used to play it on his show. And I remember I was at my mum's house at the time, and I was having a bath, and I was listening to, and I was lying in the bath waiting, and the bath was going cold because it was going down and down and down. And I thought, bollocks, it's not on here. You know, someone's told me that. And it got to number 5, and then he said, this is a lovely little song from Supergrass, you know. And it was great. I just couldn't believe it. It was the first time we'd had some real proper sort of appreciation from someone that I'd loved and I'd listened to for years. And so a real moment, a turning point, you know.
And when you say it was a turning point, did you find people getting interested in you because of that, or were they already starting to sniff around Supergrass at that point? Theodore Supergrass, as you were known originally. Where did the name come from, Theodore Supergrass?
I don't know. I think it was, actually it was like pre-Gorillaz. We thought we were going to not have to do interviews or anything, because by that time we'd been round the treadmill in Jennifer's and stuff like that, and we were too cool now to do any interviews. So we thought we were going to create this cartoon kid called Theodore Supergrass, and he was going to be the spokesperson of the band.
Right.
So he would do all our interviews, and so that's why. And then we suddenly thought, what a ridiculous idea that was. Went well for Gorillaz, though.
So where should we go next?
Let's try Jericho. We're going to an area, it's called Jericho, but it's the Jericho Tavern where we used to play. I used to see lots of bands there.
Amazing. Iconic venue. You can have a pint.
Let's have a pint.
Yeah, let's do it. New location, different part of Oxford. Where are we now?
We're in Jericho, which is full of cafes, little bars, stuff like that. And the Jericho Tavern is where we all used to sort of assemble and do early gigs, come and see local bands.
This is an iconic venue, right?
Yeah.
It's very much part of the fabric of small venues in the UK.
Yeah. It was a sort of a big small player on the scene, definitely, and probably the most sort of sought after venue to play at a certain level.
And did you have to beg for a gig, or how did that work?
Actually, we first played as the Jennifers, and there was a guy called Mackie who used to run it, who was quite a tough guy, and he lived up the road here. And we gave him a demo, and we didn't say how old we were. And Gaz was, I think, 14 or 15, and I was 16. And when we arrived, with our voices hardly broken, he was like, "You're not playing in here, guys." And we said, "Yeah, we're the band, we're giving you our tape." And then I think in the end he let us play, and we played there about 5 or 6 times as Jennifers, and became friends with him. Yeah, but we were really young.
And you got fond memories of this place?
Yeah, great times.
And was it a place where you thought, we've made it, we're playing at the Jericho, or did you think it at the time as a stepping stone?
No,
well, local bands do tend to think, I've made it, I've played my local venue.
I think this was the venue to play. You know, I'd seen quite a lot of bands there before we played there, so it didn't really get much better than playing there.
Right.
I didn't really know what London was, at the time. I knew what London was, but I never really thought we were going to be playing in London. This was kind of like the pinnacle.
Right. Let's go and have a look inside. Let's do it.
In the rainforests, the mountain villages, and the golden deserts. Around the world, the universe, and all other uncharted territories.